So it was in the summer of 1988 that Connie and myself, along with our three daughters, Karen, Catherine, and Kristen, left our church in Canby and moved to Los Angeles area. And it was actually interesting that summer, pretty difficult in some ways. As we tried to get settled in, we actually stayed in three different places over the summer until we found an apartment in La Crescenta, California, north of LA, where we lived for the remainder of that year that we were there. Now, during this time, I was asked to take some trips, and want to report on those here. And three trips actually I took from our base in Los Angeles when we were becoming a part of the international headquarters team, especially the general director and field director, who I would be working with closely over the next several years. We were with that organization. So we got settled there, and we began to pray about where we might go. And during that time, there was a decision that was made on the part of the executive council of this mission that they wanted to move the headquarters outside of the United States and kind of become more of a, at least in perception and in reality, become a more international mission. And they felt that would be hindered by remaining in the United States. And so they looked at some different options and finally decided generally on the London, England area. So we were talking about that, and Connie and I said, we really felt like the Lord say, "You go, you be the ones that spearhead this. You be the tip of the arrow that goes into London and help to find a base for the international head team, and also to, if possible, maybe send two or three people to the field, and if also possible, to appoint someone to be the UK directors." So that was the kind of mission out in front of us, and we felt led and were sent to do. We and then that was something we looked forward to, and we kind of knew early on in our time in California that that was going to be it. So we began to prepare ourselves for that international move. Now, the trips that I want to talk about were made in the interim while we were still based there, and these also were times for me to be involved in some pastoral care, because that was the major thing that the director of the mission had asked me to come and do. I had met with him in the spring of '88, about 3 months or so prior to our moving down, and he said to me, "Jim, we've had some good reports from your visits to Morocco and to Egypt. And the fact is, I can get people overseas, but I need help keeping them there. And I think that we need to look at pastoral care, member care. In fact, that had been something in the executive council also they had said, along with appointing a field director, get someone to help us in the area of member care, pastoral care for our teams." It was a growing mission, so there were several hundred at the time even already, and it was only continuing to grow. And there was no there was some pastoral care because people could invite pastors to come from their churches and the like. But in terms of what was coming from the international office, there needed to be an effort, concerted effort to provide care and coaching. So there was coaching for language learning, there was coaching for cultural learning, there was coaching for church planting, and there was culture uh, um, coaching, I should say, and coaching for also for just spiritual needs and so forth. And so that was why I was asked to come, and we accepted on that basis. And so we began to prepare, and part of the way we prepared was to make these three trips. So more on that here as we come along to the next recording. But here we are as a family um, with our three girls down there in Los Angeles, and kind of moving around. And what a summer it was! And then preparing to launch for what became really a tremendous and a remarkable experience together as we pursued God's calling into the world, part of the world that He called us to.